All right, we're live. Raya is running the show. She's doing a great job. She's a future content creator. She has content somewhat, but I see great things in Raya's future. We are talking about the Amico. We got some great guests here. Semi-retired Melons and Ye Olde Nerdcast, which I'm really excited to talk to. We were vibing before backstage. I'm like, yeah, these are great guys. I'd love to talk to them. But I really ultimately... Raya is a lot more organized than I am. I just go live. Sometimes I go live by accident. I've done that before, and stay live.
That's my style too. So.
Yes. But Raya is really organized. She has some points she wants to talk to you about. So that's why she's in the top spot. She's controlling the show. Go ahead, Raya. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you, Max, for having our latest and greatest guests on the show for the first time ever. Ye Olde Nerdcast, Devin and Justin.
All right. There have been mistakes getting this product to the public. There are also pandemic things to consider. The controller is really what's different, and that's the reason it's taken so long. The cost of it making it is a smaller company, not like the big three, to make a smaller production run and not put your company in bankruptcy. Along with the rising costs of the pandemic, the shortage of parts. But there's also been mistakes of not having everything complete, ready to go either. It's not like every game is done. There have been announcements at the beginning, and this is my biggest criticism. I said directly to Tommy, I've interviewed him many times. I'm like, you cannot be specific on the internet. Say this is our goal and target. Because things change, even if you think it's a simple idea. And that was the whole idea, to make it more simple, but to have a unique control idea. Do not give the internet wants you to give specifics so they can look, you're wrong. You lied. But it really, I don't think he expected it to be this difficult to bring the system to launch. And it's just not. There have been other retro consoles that have come out, but they're basically carbon copy controllers. They're just like the SNES or something or Genesis. So this is something different. Me and Saggy have played it in person. All I could say is it's a lot of fun. I think also from your video, Ye Olde Nerdcast, you're like, this is something I might be interested in. You weren't like hating on the certain. Yeah. So it's all I could say is it's a lot of fun. It's taken too long to get to market, and we do need something new. Also, with the concerns of the Kotaku article, and this is something Raya wanted. She wanted to address past mistakes, move forward, and gain back consumer confidence. They do need to get more consumer confidence, and for the general public, a better image out there than there is right now. So they do have things to prove, and also the dates coming up in October 10/10/2021. Which was going to be the release date that kind of is pushed again. So we need I think, to gain some consumer confidence, address the concerns, address the public relations that have been kind of crazy lately. That's why there's two passionate sides, because Tommy likes to address his critics, but then they keep coming at you. You give an answer and there's 10 more. There's 10 more, and it's like a never-ending cycle.
It's a little more... See, I have to cut across you, because the reason why there's two sides, and I've talked to so many people on both, is that there are people who support and are like, I can deal with all the issues people have, and I'll just wait until it comes out. And then you have people that want the things that they find an issue with Tommy Tallarico or the Amico. They want those answers, or he said something and years later he changed it. And it's literally just the haters have an issue with how Tommy is handling this company. Whereas the people who support Tommy are like, we're fine with how he's handling it. We don't care. We're just going to sit and wait until it comes out. And then the hater side of it, or the critics or whatever, are like, well, you guys should care because it's a scam and it's bad for business. So that's the basically what we're dealing with.
When did they first announce the Amico?
I think 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's been a while.
I guess. Kind of seems like the world
I did
just
also
stood
want
still
to,
since 2018 in some ways.
Yeah.
I did want to call out that Max did touch on the production process the state of the console as well, like in his opening statement. So thank you for doing that, Max. I did want to also kind of like give other folks like Saggy, who's like a lot more knowledgeable than I am, as far as like some of the production hiccups and some context around, why is it that like we haven't seen a lot of like new updates on the console itself. So Saggy, if you have any insight that you're okay sharing with us, I'd love to hear it.
So, from my understanding, there's a lot. Like, obviously, right now, their main focus is to completely like get the console and the games to where they need them to be as best for launch, right? So that's their focus. Kind of just like how when you have a game, you try to get it as good as you can. Then, like later on, if it needs some reworks, they do a patch or something, right? So their main focus is to make sure that the motion controls work for the games that utilize the motion control, that all the games that are finished, because they're for the most part, there's a big argument that the games aren't finished. The games are finished. They're just making sure, like, for example, there was a game we played, I forget what it was because this was like months ago, but there's a game we played where we were playing in single player, but then there's an option for 2-player, and the 2-player mode where somebody plays as like a spaceship was a little OP, like it was moving a little fast, and I mentioned it to Tommy. They're like, yeah, we're tweaking it, we're just playing, we're tweaking it, that's not, it's the game's finished overall, but that we're little tweaks. And then on top of that, there are certain announcements that for the console, like certain games or certain things that's kind of exclusive. Like they have certain ways that they want to share that information. Like maybe if there's like a deal they have with a TV channel or something. And that, by the way, I'm not saying that's what they have. I'm just saying this is an example. Like, if he has an exclusive deal with a certain person or company that's like, hey, we want to show you the system and we haven't announced this yet. We want to announce it on your platform, blah, blah, blah. So there are things that they have that they're waiting on to announce certain things. So like I said, they're preparing, because everyone thinks the marketing for this console has started. The official marketing, and Tommy has said this many times, the official marketing for this console has not started yet. Right now, it's just, getting the word of mouth, saying, hey, we have a console coming out with this console. But right now, no announcements are being made because the marketing hasn't officially started yet. So they haven't spent a single penny on marketing for the console. It's all just YouTube channels, personalities trying to get people to play it with these events. Then they're going to start doing marketing.
Well, Saggy, let me just quickly ask Devin and Justin's take on some of the information that you shared. So y'all responded to, I think, like the E3 video, and then like the Kotaku article, and then some other online content on the system as well. So after hearing some more context around the current state of the company and the system now, where are y'all's thoughts? Like what open-ended questions do you have that we can possibly try and touch on during the stream?
Well, so the initial points that Max made about the production stuff is absolutely true, and that's been an issue with more than just the Amico. I mean, there are supply chain issues up and down, the entire economy, global economy even. So especially with things involving computer chips and processors and all that. So of course, all of that's going to have an effect on your ability to manufacture and ship consoles worldwide. And just the fact that, you're trying to make a brand new console in general. I mean, that's a Herculean task, no matter what the console is. Like, coming from just to give you a little bit of background, I worked in the game industry for many years.
Oh, cool.
That's how we met, actually.
Yeah, we met at a game company.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I know just how hard it is, even just to release
to do anything.
To do anything, basically. But then just to release even a small title on a pre-existing platform, that's hard enough in and of itself. So actually being able to put together a console and wrangle together developers with IP, with their own IP and all that sort of stuff, and nail out contracts and agreements on all of that, that's all borderline impossible to put together for most companies,
especially these days.
Especially
that's what we were talking about last time. It's just the barrier for entry into this specific market is so astronomically high that it's almost insane to think anyone would try. And so I mean, you gotta be like, ah, they're trying. That's cool. They're trying to put something out there.
I absolutely, yeah. I and we talked about it before too. Also, like our initial reaction to this thing, first and foremost, is that it's always good to have more competition in the console market. Like it's always good to have more consoles. Like that's just even outside from
even if it was just like one game, and even if every game was terrible, but like one game was just super awesome, and you were like, dude. Did you only get to play that one game? Because it's like I
have a Neo Geo Pocket Color in my
room, exactly. That's my point. That was my point.
And I love it still. I played Samurai Showdown on the other day. It's awesome.
I remember Transylvania on the Apple II Plus was just the bomb. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, it was a great game.
We are very old, by the way.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
No, y'all have a youthful, energy about y'all. But I did want to just,
my beard. And he's talking about the Apple Plus.
I'm super old. So to me, I'm just like, why do we even know all this crap? It's like, I mean, like when I was, it just seemed like products came out. I didn't know the NES was coming out until it came out. And it was like, check it out, NES. I was like, this is amazing. It's way better than the Atari 3200 or whatever my friend down the street had that was way better than the 2600. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's just sounding, it's just sounding like that y'all have y'all come in with a lot of built-in empathy after, being in the trenches, boots on the ground in this same industry that, we're commenting on. So your perspective is definitely something that I do want to hear more about as we go into the next topic. Just wanted to kind of gently segue to
real quick,
the next point.
Before you do that, Raya, though, I did, because I wanted to address this comment. First of all, there are plenty of videos of gameplay footage on the official Intellivision Amico YouTube channel, as well as plenty of people who, like me and Max, who have played the Amico, who has gameplay footage in our videos. I've made one, Max has made one. Many of the YouTubers that went to the Crayola event specifically have videos showing the gameplay of the games that we were able to play. Also, the games themselves are not a secret. There is no secret to the games. Like I said, all of the games that have been shown thus far are publicly available on the platform, most of them on the official Intellivision Amico web YouTube channel. But also, it's not like the games. There's some things like special features with the console, as that's basically what's kind of right now, kind of hush special features or things that the Amico can do that not many people might, that hasn't been public yet. That's what I mean. It's not the games, it's the console and other things to come with the console.
I will say that from my getting pulled into the universe, most of the contention circles around the Tommy Tallarico character, and
that's true.
Yeah.
And I will say, you know what? I'm not one to dish out whatever I can't take. So if you want to attack me for the comments I made on Tallarico, I'll take it. Fine, that's fine. I was responding a lot to that article because the article seemed to focus a lot, I guess, on things that Tommy Tallarico was posting on forum. I think the Atari H forum and on Reddit. And just as a quick aside, first and foremost, being a forum person is like a recipe for disaster.
Yes, yes.
Anybody in any kind of executive position at any company should stay away from forums.
The only way to win is not to play.
Right. Yes, you're both right. I agree with you. 100%.
And I say this like
No,
go for it. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. That's part of his problem. Is that's who he is. That's
right. He's a people person, though. That's the thing. He's listen. A little background history. Tommy Tallarico is an Italian dude from Boston, from Massachusetts. Okay, and let me tell you, I'm also from here. So let me tell you, we are about that life. So like when he's going on forums trying to promote something, and he has people kind of coming at him or something. We don't take that crap like straight up. And I get it as far as a business aspect, it's not a good look, sure. But at the same time, he is a people person. He's not looking at people like, oh, you're just a number, right? Like he does not afraid to talk to a YouTuber who has 10 subscribers or 1 million subscribers. He doesn't care. He's a people person. So that's why I don't mind him being who he is, where other people might.
Yeah, he went on everyone that asked podcast, regardless of the number. He
Doesn't
gave
matter.
his time, and he stayed. Like when you're, some people, you have guests if you've done YouTube for a long time. Some guests are like, okay, I'm gone after you hit live. No, he'll stay there and talk to you about stuff. And then like even when me and Saggy met him a couple months ago when we were at a friend's house, he didn't leave the house. Like John Retro Bro is in the chat. It was at his house. His wife fell asleep on the couch. Tommy Tallarico's tipping there with his socks on. Okay, we better put the Amico away. I better go. It's like real late at night. That's just
I just like the idea. Tommy Tallarico is at people's houses with the Amico.
Exactly.
He's like, here, play it. He knocks on your door.
He's like a Santa Claus
He's like,
with the Amico.
do you have 25 minutes? I've got this thing.
That's not a lot. That's why what he's doing now is spending less time on forums and on the internet, which he's trying to do right now, and do more of sharing with the public. And because that's where he shines. He's like, if you meet him in person, and he says, oh, try my console that I'm going to bring out. It's a great idea. That's where he's going to shine. That's where everyone enjoys him. Forum posting and stuff, he may win a battle here and there, but like, both you and the Olde Nerdcast have said, don't play that game, especially if you're a CEO. It's hard to not do it, especially if you started your career grinding in the video game industry, creating soundtracks, and you're used to being on posts. Now that you're a CEO, you might want to reevaluate that. Yeah.
Like, and that's really the only like true.
Thanks,
what was that? Was that your dog?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's a frequent collaborator. Not now,
wait.
Kelly.
Did you say a husky?
No, collaborator. She likes to butt in.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show.
Labrador.
Yeah.
Labrador. No, but so yeah, like and I understand it from the creator's point of view, because I've been in that shit too, and I've read plenty of forum posts on games that I've worked on, at those companies, and there is a moment.
What were they fucking thinking?
Oh,
idiots! It's almost like no one tested it at all. You're like, actually, I tested it for fucking hours and hours and hours.
Absolutely, it's like, why did they make this decision? Don't they understand that blah blah blah? Like, I'm sitting here with like the lead designer, and we're like, dude, we can't comment on this. Like, we can't. I want to tell them exactly why this decision was made.
It's like that scene from Happy Gilmore where he's like, the ball's supposed to go in the hole, and he's like, yeah, I tried. I just really cheated. Like every time someone makes a comment, that's the thing I think of.
I did want to say to Retro Bro, here's the thing though. Like, I understand that, but at the same time, right now he has investors. How many of them have you seen really complaining about it? And there's some of the investors who are paying attention to all the stuff going on YouTube. One of them is one of somebody we know. Smash JT is an investor, and he's pretty much in it for the long run. Like, he knows he put his money in, and he's not complaining about it. He defends Tommy a lot. There are some investors who are looking at everything and seeing that, like, the problem isn't for them. The problem isn't Tommy. For others, it might be Tommy. But right now, he's not losing investors. His investors aren't rioting and making YouTube videos about how they dumped all this money into this company, and Tommy's on the forums arguing with people on forums. That's not what's happening.
Yeah, that's true. But it's true to a point, though. Like, investors don't really give a shit about anything that you do with your company that they're invested in, so long as it doesn't make, so long as the arrows don't start going down on their investment.
And Retro Bro, that's a fair point. But again, people who are big potential investors that you're talking about, those are some people I don't expect to be sitting here watching the YouTubers. Okay, these are people who have money that work. They're not sitting on platforms on Twitter. They don't have Twitter. I can see if it's like a big company that's like that, but they're not all on these platforms. So I don't really see it as a problem, to be honest with you. And you can say I'm wrong. You can say I'm wrong. But again, Tommy still has investors. People are still investing. So I don't know how I'm wrong if people are still investing, Retro Bro.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What's a problem? I think.
She's arguing that it's not a problem that he's posting on forums because it's not costing him investors.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I agree with that. Like, that's true. Like, if you can get away, and if it's one thing that, like, Elon Musk has shown us, is that there's no level of buffoonery that's going to cost you investors so long as you know what you're doing. So yes, that's true. But you also have to take into consideration that we do live in a time, especially in a segment like, gaming, where people are constantly connected to one another online on Twitter or Reddit or Atari Age or whatever kind of forum there is. And if something hits the right way, it can have like an investor impact if they see like, oh, okay, this guy has a lot of negative heat on him. We don't want to. And I'm speaking from experiencing something like this in the past. Like,
Yeah.
If there is a lightning rod, in the vicinity of your studio, then people will be cautious about whether or not they want to associate with that. Like that, if that hasn't happened for him yet, then that's golden, and he should take that as a win and try to minimize the potential of something like that happening in the future. But we do live in an environment right now where that's absolutely a consider. I mean, we have social media managers.
Well, for instance, we're talking about the dude and not the console. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like his personality. And you got to realize, from our point of view, I didn't know the Amico existed 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? But it's like, it seems like to some degree, as goes Tommy Tallarico, so goes the Amico.
It's a double-edged sword. Like it's the big personality that draws all of that sort of attention and whatnot. And you definitely, like, the Intellivision Amico as a product, I would say, gains from having a boisterous personality at its figurehead position, more so than like just some boring milquetoast guy whose name you forget 2 seconds after learning it, right? Like, there is a value to that, but it is a double-edged sword. Like, it'll cut you if you don't know how to use it properly. And if and like some of the stuff that Kotaku article was talking about, like, I went through it on my video. Like, I don't really give a shit if he's calling people idiots or whatnot. That's not a good look, but it doesn't really matter. He can call whoever he wants a dummy. That's no big deal. But like some of the other stuff, that he has to, I haven't read this Reddit article. I guess it's in response to accusations of him being like involved with, the far right or whatever. Like,
is it?
What's up? Oh yeah, that's what it.
I can't. I mean,
it's his response, pretty much, to a lot of like the Kotaku article, as well as people's responses to the Kotaku.
Yeah, I mean, that's just being put in a situation where you have to respond to something like that in general is a tough row to hoe, and that's
discretion is the better part of valor, and one oh shit can erase 1,000 attaboys. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a very old timey saying. That's a very old timey.
Yeah, but nothing. It's true though. I mean, the thing is that like it doesn't matter if you fuck up something. You know what I mean? People like that's like that one time you fucked up. Everyone remembers that. They don't remember the 400 times you didn't fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I just think it's cool, and I hope they get it together and make something come out that's cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the play-by-play of it seems to be reductive at some point. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if he to Saggy's point, if he's like the kind of person that likes to go out and he's a people person, he gets involved with people, he's like showing up at people's houses with the Amico and whatnot, then there's a certain level of shit that's just going to come with that. And I think that, to a degree, you just have to be ready to accept that, right?
Yeah.
But like,
it's like whack-a-mole. You can't fight all the trolls.
You can't fight all the trolls, and you definitely shouldn't be trying to on internet forums.
Because they actually love the fight. Yeah. You can write anything you want, and they're just like dying for some attention. And when the person responds, it's like, holy shit!
Well, yes.
I hit their battleship. You know what I mean? It was C4, but now it's fucking, oh my god, I'm alive. I exist. And this guy who didn't know me at all now knows I exist. And even if it's negative, there's no such bad thing as bad publicity. And it's like kids in school. They say a kid that craves attention, even negative attention, is attention. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the best way to deal with that is to fucking just turn off the spigot. You know what I mean? Just turn it off.
Well, let me ask.
I was going to say a lot of stuff in the article was a lot of stuff without the whole context of he still responded, maybe not in a great way, but he was responding to people, or there was a lot of social media influencers, a lot of YouTube influencers that liked to, and I'm not getting into the specifics, but they were real extremely critical of the machine. And he reached out to me. He's like, I'll bring it to where you film your podcast. and I will do that, and they refuse to because
of course, because they've chosen a side. They've chosen a side. They don't want it to be cool.
That's where, like, I know the Ye Olde Nerdcast. I forget what's each one of your names again. I'm sorry.
Oh, Devin,
Justin.
and Justin. Devin. I know you said, get out of your safe space. That's where he was talking to the podcasters in their safe space where they won't even try the thing and hate on it. To give you context there. Was it the best comment? No, but
No, that's just more of like on my end there, that was just more of like I guess a comedic sort of commentary on the overusage of the word safe space on both angles, both the actual usage.
It's a bit lazy, you know what I mean, in that regard, yeah.
But there's a lot of context there and a lot of personal stuff in the article besides the criticism. Like they have a lot of people that have from Tommy's past. The more popular you get, there's going to be a line for. I mean, you guys seem great, but if you suddenly got a big celebrity on you, there might be a line of people too sharing some things on a bad day of you.
I'm certain.
So that's where I was like, this went across the line overly personal. So I think it would happen to each one of us. Some people in my chat right now even want to do it. Hey everyone, behave everyone in the chat. But that's just,
one of the points I did want to try and get y'all's take on is in relation to this topic around like their public relations and engagement with the community. It's all kind of they're separate topics, but they do like intermingle. So I did want to kind of like find a way to unite them in a topic that maybe we can all comment on. So like in my perspective as someone who is a consumer of high-end electronics, I love like cutting edge technology, things like that, and I do have like the ability to invest in like in startup companies and like stocks and things like that if I want to. But for some reason, I'm more interested in the hardware aspect of the company rather than their potential ability to generate revenue from my potential investment. So I guess like to go back to what Saggy was saying about the community engagement of the company not necessarily deterring investors. From my perspective, I want my console, whether the company goes under or not. Unfortunately I don't have any emotion or any sort of like ethos tied to the well-being of this company. I just want my product. So if I had more of like a connection to the company with more of an investment, I think I would probably want to be more supportive of their of how they're engaging with the community, but I don't have that. I'm just a consumer of their product at the end of the day. So I did want to kind of like get y'all's take on folks who just want just tell us when our hardware is coming versus like the folks who are like to Saggy's point, in for the long haul, have already invested and have a reason to want to defend the company.
Nobody said anything.
It's a hard one. Yeah, I've just been brewing on that all day because like that's kind of where
I was
I'm
a
at.
little distracted.
So there's folks like me who just want their hardware. Like I could care less about any sort of like reasons why the community engagement has been the way it is. Just tell me when my hardware is shipping. And then there's folks who actually invested thousands of dollars and they're not getting a refund. They're in it for the long haul. So I guess like how would y'all like kind of like differentiate like the folks who have like a buy-in for wanting to to defend the company versus folks who are just like, I just want my console. Like I could care less about all these other all this other information or excuses that you want to bring up. Just give us a production update.
Across the board, everyone needs an update. Everyone, like investors. People that have pre-ordered a long time ago, people that are just pre-ordered a week ago. We need, because it's the third delay now, and the third date is coming up soon, 10/10/2021. That's why I put it in the thumbnail here. We need to know, hey, if it's not going to be there shipping shortly after 10/10/2021, is it being produced in a factory somewhere? We need like a firm update. We kind of need some new info besides just the regular stuff. And that is where I will be. I love Tommy, but I will be critical if by the end of the year we don't get a firm update that it's being
But that's
made.
the problem, Max. How many times has Tommy tried to update people or tell people no? People who are critical don't care. How many times has Tommy literally gone to subreddit pages that are dedicated on dunking on him and the Amico, and he's gone into there and tried to answer questions and just got attacked? So it's like he's damned if he does and damned if he don't. That's why basically what I say is like, no matter what Tommy does, it's wrong to a lot of people. And to those people, they're going to make their videos, feed their stuff to articles like Kotaku and other articles. It's just a cluster. It's just a dumpster fire. So what is Tommy supposed to do? When he shuts up, people demand him to answer questions. When he answers questions, he's a liar. So he can't win no matter what he does. And that's the big problem with this Amico controversy. It's like Tommy can't do anything to please anyone. He either shuts up and puts out the console, or people who are asking questions about, like what Raya said, gets those answers. But then what? Then he's a liar. That's not true, because why is it this now? And you said this back in the day. Well, things have changed. Oh, it doesn't matter. You should stick with that. It doesn't matter what Tommy does at this point. All I can say for people who are genuinely interested and are new, wait till it comes out.
Well, let me try to parse out my rambling into like a coherent statement. I typed it out in the chat. So basically, like, buyers and investors both have, different ways that you want to communicate to them. I'm a buyer. I just want my hardware. I could care less about your life story. Investors, they may want want to hear like there are a few investor videos where, like Tommy just goes on this like long, 600 years of experience, diatribe of, like how qualified him and his team are. But, and that's something that you want to sell to investors to get them confident for them to give you your money. But I'm sold on the hardware. I'm sold on, the features and, the aesthetic of the console and the collectability. So those are my top 3 reasons for being a buyer. As an investor, I'm not quite sold, because all I have are the ethos arguments that you're attempting to sell to me. So like, I guess to pivot to like Yield Nerdcast crew, what are y'all's thoughts on, how like the company's been managing, how they're selling to their consumers versus how they're selling to investors?
Well, I mean, I would say that it's not so much, and granted, it's weird talking about this, because you guys, I can tell how passionate you are and how knowledgeable you are. You guys have been in this for a while. And I just kind of feel like, you know what I mean? Not even that I read the Cliff Notes, but that literally I got hit by the Cliff Notes as a kid walked by me who had the Cliff Notes, But it seems like it's not so much that he's nothing he can do to please anyone. It's that there's nothing he can do to please everyone. And I think that he's not going to please everyone. You know what I mean? And that's fine, because not everyone in the world has to buy the console. How people have to like it. I mean, most people, there's everything that's popular or out that exists. There's like half a good section of people that hate it. You know what I mean? It's amazing how binary things actually are. I mean,
I was thinking that exact thing earlier. Like, everything distills down to a binary for whatever reason.
Which is weird too, because it makes you wonder about the nature of reality. That it's like, it's a true false. So much is binary: 2 hands, 2 eyes, 1 0. Anyway, but that's a whole other conversation. But it's like, no matter what it is, you come out with something great. And there are forums right now where people are bashing the Beatles, wailing on the Beatles, or just anything else that people just generally think is great. No matter how great it is, someone's going to dislike it.
There is a problem with trying to speak to those two audiences. Like, the way that you talk to investors is entirely different from the way that you talk to consumers. And I hail from the old Blizzard / BioWare school of it's out when it's done. Like, we'll release it when it's ready. Like, no firm release dates. You give people updates for certain, but you give them updates without committing to any kind of release date. That's pretty much the only way to go from my point of view, because unless you've got a ship that is just sailing as smooth as humanly possible and there are no problems at all, there's always going to be something that's going to knock that date back to some degree, even if it's just a week or so. And people will find a way to get pissed off about that. So like you have to understand, like, yeah, you can talk to your investors in more concrete terms, and maybe you're gonna have milestones that are tied to dates just by a function of trying to get people to part with their money. Like they're not gonna want to invest in your development if they can't have certain commitments tied to certain dates.
You're like,
So,
slow down.
yeah.
All those metrics are cramping my style. I just like you to write me a check, please.
Yeah, that
Wait, so like just
that
to like kind
that
of
doesn't work.
Yeah, no, like for me, I just recently pre-ordered, so like I'm almost as brand new to the subject matter as y'all. So apologies if I get any information wrong or anything like that. That's totally on me.
You're about 1,000 times more knowledgeable.
Yeah,
than
exactly.
than we are, so no apologies necessary.
But yeah, like Max, and you can correct me as well. Like for retail folks like myself, who just pre-ordered after the first round of Founders Edition pre-orders that had exclusive skins for the console, like wood grain and for example. So those are exclusive for folks that were in the first round of like pre-orders for the company.
Those have to be directly in television, the wood grain, and then the one that you got is retail to GameStop only, the Galaxy Purple. And I don't know how the refund on that is. I don't know.
But yeah, like just to kind of like give like my own sort of like perspective on like crowdfunding hardware and things like that. I'm a big advocate for crowdfunding, not only like products but also creators of content that I actively enjoy. Like it's something that there is sort of like this boomer-esque argument of like bootstraps, like fund your own dreams and things like that. But I'm of the opinion that if someone is creating creating content or producing an idea that's worthwhile to me, I want to see it come to life and I want to be a part of it, if not just like secure a final product when it's complete. So yeah, like I'm a lot more forgiving when it comes to companies using crowdfunding as a way to secure the ability to produce their ideas or to continue producing content like on Twitch and YouTube and things like that. So I never really understood why people are hesitant about or find it sketchy that a company relies on crowdfunding to any extent.
Yeah,
well, that, and it's like they can't lose money on their consoles. That's the thing. It's like, how long does it take? How long did the Sony lose money on PlayStation before they actually, like when they come out, they're losing money for every single console.
That's the industry. They lose money on console, make money on other places.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really that's a tightrope to walk. That's kind of psychotic for a new company that doesn't have existing revenue. Is that like every hardware manufacturer sells at a loss because they make their money back with royalties on their software sales and peripheral sales and other kind of licensing deals.
Or the life cycle of the console eventually.
Or the life cycle of the console eventually. But like and that's one of the things where I read in that article, that Kotaku article about the 50% royalties from software sales, which, and I remember way back in the day when I was working, I forget where I was working at, but I think we were putting out a title for the PlayStation 2, and we were talking about possibly putting it on the GameCube, but our executive, the C-suite, did not want to do any dealing with Nintendo because Nintendo had the audacity to charge 30% royalties on their software sales, which was the highest that any console manufacturer charged at that time. I don't know if that's still the case or not right now, but at that time it was. And that was a big point of contention with a lot of developers for at least the GameCube, 30% markup rate. And like 50% is pretty intense. I don't know if that's still the numbers they're communicating or sticking with, but for games that are designed to be cheap, a 50% cut in your profit margin is I mean, that's a tough sell for.
Are they exclusive though? Maybe you guys can answer this. So they take 50% on their console, but the hardware is such that theoretically a game you develop for the Amico, unless it was really based on the controller, could actually come out on Steam or also out on Android.
To be a unique version for the Amico. Something has to be unique.
But could it be the same game, but they just make some kind of tweak in the controlling function to use the controller? I mean,
Right.
my point is that like, so if the idea is that you're just opening up that extra market, like you've already developed the game, it's live on Steam, you got it on Android, maybe it's an iOS, you know what I mean? You can add the Amico, you know, and they just with making a few little changes to it. Maybe you add an AI function, a UI function that on the controller, you know. But you basically the game's already done. You just add that functionality, and they take 50% of that. But it's not your only revenue stream. If they demanded exclusivity to the console, like you were basically only allowed to develop, you know, we'll put out your game, but it has to be with us for a year or 2 years before you can essentially put it in the Steam store or whatever, and we want 50%. I can see that being, I mean, as it is.
Well, I don't know all the specifics, but 50% there's a lot of variables. Like, I don't know if I'm under the assumption, and I don't know this for sure. Like, if it's in a television property that they're working on, then maybe that would be the way they get 50% of the revenue. But if it's a different game that's not in a television owned IP and they bring it, I don't know if they have to have it exclusive first, but I do know other games like Rigid Force Redux is a shmup. That's available now. Where they made it different is now there's multiplayer. It's just that was the small change. It's called Rigid Force Redux Special or something. It's just a small change to the name, multiplayer now. So but games that are newly developed and are Amico first, I think it's a case by case basis. I don't know all the.
Okay.
You would think they would get a break. You would think they would get a break for developing solely for the Amico.
I would hope so.
Like maybe 25% or 20% if you develop an Amico exclusive.
Well, yeah, I do really care for developers too, and I want them to get a fair price too. I don't want it to be, I want it to be mutually beneficial. As far as I don't know all the specifics of there. He kind of didn't really give. He's kind of addressed this before, but I don't really totally understand either. I really wouldn't understand unless I was a developer. I'm under the assumption that the 50% is for like if you're a developer and then you want to do an Intellivision. That's what I think. I'm 100% on that. If it's an Intellivision owned property, you want to do a reimagined, then they're going to want 50 because it's their property.
It's their IP, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So like, if you want to
but
basically remake an Intellivision game.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. It could just be 50% across the board, but I don't think that's true.
Well, that would be stifling. Water finds the lowest point if the third-party developers can't make a decent, enough of a profit to develop for the console, then that's going to be a barrier for entry for them. So
right. And then there's also like other consoles. Once you get the console, there's not a lot of. They might have accessories out, but there's not really anything else you have to buy. Like you could use phones for additional controllers, and then the games are $10. So that's another reason that they really need to make sure they're launching the right way, because there's no margins for extra income once they launch. That's it. Like if they don't get the launch right, everything else is going to fail.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get profit there, they're done. That's why it's high.
Seems so hard.
The way Tommy did this, he believes in it. Other people believe in it too. But really, the stakes are extremely high on this launch. If you don't get it right at the launch, then the other stuff's not going to follow through. You have to make it profitable at launch first, because there's no room to make them up the money later, because the margins are tight with the digital games. $10, $8. I want to highlight these two comments because these two YouTubers know a lot more than I do. Smash JT is also an investor too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Tommy has already responded to that 50% is incorrect as many points in the Kotaku article. And then Rabs is a great comment here. It isn't 50% across the board. The terms are negotiable, and Intellivision is putting up the marketing, the costs up front, the dev kit, the music. They can do art directions. It's a ton of variables. And I do know that cool. Tommy Tallarico himself has worked on a lot of the sound design for a lot of these games. Like you get that experience. I mean, I don't know if we want to share what we were saying before, but you guys have some knowledge of this too. He's putting a lot into that, his experience in the video game industry and potentially doing the soundtrack for your game, that Tommy Tallarico mark, that stamp. So I can understand the 50% there if he's working hands-on with these smaller developers.
Yeah, like a lot of that makes a lot more sense. Like if there are variables, like 50%, that's a sticker shock, kind of like a holy shit, that's a huge percentage.
But with the context of that, yeah.
If it comes with like a lot of other added benefits that helps, is particularly small developers, indie developers, and if you're like a 2 or 3 man team, then having a lot of those extra resources coming from Intellivision could make a huge difference. Probably make up the 50%, the difference between 50 and 30% or whatever the other more standard royalty deals are.
It seems like, where did that number even come from? I mean, it was in the Kotaku article, right? I mean, and that, did they just pull that out of their ass, or did
that was from a leak? And then he was trying. This is the other reason he gets frustrated. He was trying to correct the info that it's not in every single situation, but people run with the 50% without getting context. That's why he gets frustrated. Yeah,
there was something about their dev portal or something, their dev leaks happening there, and I guess that was a part of that.
Yeah, he had a bad moment there where he, I think he should have, if he felt like legal action was necessary, do it behind the scenes. Don't say it publicly. Do not ever say on Twitter.
Yeah, well, you can't actually. I was told by a lawyer one time that you can never actually tell someone you're going to sue them publicly. You just serve them. You're like, I'm going to sue you, and then you sue them. It's like, if you're going to sue somebody, just sue them. Yeah.
So I could.
Well, I did want. I did give the link to Devin and Justin, but I know y'all may be looking at the link with like fresh eyes. So if you have any quick thoughts you want to get to, then I'll get into mine.
Okay.
Oh, this is a lengthy.
It's too long.
This is a lengthy.
That's my
lengthy response, dude.
Right.
Like, this is.
I mean,
at a certain point, though, like if you feel the need to, like, you have to respond to something with like this many paragraphs, you may as well just be like, your response is just as well as being like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Sorry, whatever. It's whatever. This is who I am. Like that communicates as much as what I'm probably gonna get out of.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of seems like the battle lines are kind of drawn at this point. Like, I don't think anyone who read that Kotaku article, maybe I could be wrong about that, but
dude, he's talking about Columbus Day as a holiday. Like,
I don't think.
You don't
I don't
know
think
how much
anyone
criticism he likes to address every criticism.
I think that's a problem.
Okay.
I think that's a problem. I'm sorry, but there's personal opinion here.
No,
I
don't censor opinions. No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I agree with Devin. I think that he needs to, at a certain point, if he's the CEO of the company, he needs to unplug his persona from the company. Because the thing is all this discussion, all this stuff is about him. Stuff he said on Twitter years ago, people he followed on Twitter. And very little to do. I mean, it has to do with it, but a lot of it's about him. The idea is that as the company rises and falls on his personal integrity or his various things he said to people on Twitter. I just don't think that's a good place for any company to be in. I mean, I think I think to some degree that's both Tesla's weakness and its strength. In the same way, is that Elon Musk can get stoned on a podcast and tank their stock price for 3 or 4 weeks.
And I want to also acknowledge, like, I get it. Like, Tom Tallarico's a dude. He's a person. He's a human being, and he feels compelled to defend.
Well, people wanted him to respond, though. There was a lot of outcry for him to respond. So I know it's a lengthy one, but people did want something. They wanted something. So he addresses everything in one, and then if he keeps commenting on him, like, Tommy, don't. I think that should be it, and that's done.
Like, if he feels like he voiced everything he wanted to voice with this, then that's perfectly fine.
But don't keep continuing.
It should probably be the last of it.
But I would say that, like, so when we did that campaign for Splatoon, there was a ton of online hate about that stuff. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is that at first, there are people that made whole videos about how much they hated those commercials and how much they hated that song. I mean, like, with production and stuff, you know what I mean? And my first response was, when I first looked at it, because the producer from the agency was like, "Oh, geez, here come the YouTube comments," And so, we were looking at him, and I was like, "Well, come on, the guy hated. Oh man, but then I was like, you know what? who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? It's like, the thing is, what these people don't realize that are making the videos and all the comments and all this shit is they're just doing the job of the ad company. That was a new IP, even though it was negative. There's no such thing as negative publicity. Yeah. They were putting that song and that commercial out. They were redoing it, talking about the product, talking about it in forums, you know, on and on and on and on and on. And that was free. You can't buy that kind of publicity. You know what I mean? The thing is it made an impression. The worst thing that could have happened is you could make a commercial or put something out and nobody says anything. To it. You know what I mean? So the thing is that, like, if people had gotten on there and responded, blah, 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 that would have opened up a whole other thing. As it was, when they went back, there was a remix album that was made, you know what I mean, of all the songs on the Splatoon game. Some DJs did a remix of the initial game. Yeah. And the first song on that album was that Squid Kid song from the commercial. They took it and they remixed it. So the thing is sometimes you just got to let shit go. You got to see the bigger picture. And the fact is, if people are talking about it, it's probably a good thing. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as bad publicity. Blow them away with the fucking games. Yeah. Spend less time worrying about what people say in the forums and get in the fucking thing and make sure the guys are kicking out the jams and get the console on the way.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Devin. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, to that point, like, if there was any one thing I would say that, you know, would probably benefit Tommy Tallarico in this particular respect is to focus on the people that love your shit, man. Like, there are a lot of people that are super amped about this thing, and, you know, yeah, they want updates, and I get the frustration there.
Just so you know, what happens is I'm not saying every situation, but most people, social media influencers that are positive about it, get labeled as shills or cultists.
Oh yeah,
because they can't believe that people are actually excited about the games they see. There's no way. Like our good friend DJC, he said my jaw was on the floor when I saw Finnegan Fox. Now he's just being fun and playful, but he got a lot of criticism from that, and they act like we're lying to our viewers just to get propped up knowing Tommy. But I am genuinely excited about some of these games. I'm not excited about Sesame Street Care Bears, but Breakout coming back, Astro Smash.
Look, I'm a fan of shmups, and a lot of those shoot 'em games looks cool. Like I was surprised by that. I was like, oh shit! Like I didn't think people still made shoot 'em up games anymore. Like,
right?
That's cool.
I said, but that's something that you don't necessarily that you guys don't know that because you're new to covering it. I hope you keep covering this. I really do, because I love your guys' perspective. But this is what a lot of us content creators have been experiencing, making positive, because the people that really dislike his personality, even beyond like the games, are pretty simplistic looking. They're not pushing anything. They go to every single video and try to convince you that it's garbage. And it's very frustrating for content creators.
I would say that most of the people that will make this console a success or failure, I would say 96% of them have no fucking clue who Tommy Tallarico is. For that console to be successful, a bunch of like kids and adults they're going to have to think it's cool and buy it, and none of this shit matters. The only thing that will matter is A, if he puts it out, B, if it works when he puts it out, and C, if his games are good. If he can do those three things and get some publicity about it, you know what I mean? It'll be successful. If he fails on any one of those three things, it's probably going to not be successful. And it won't matter what anyone on YouTube said, one way or the other. You know what I mean? They won't be able to kill that in the cradle if he doesn't, you know, if he puts it out.
That's his main. And I can't wait to hear what Raya says about this Reddit. I'm so curious.
Like, to kind of like give my own sort of like criticism, and I do want to also preface again, like, you know, I'm new to this this discussion, and a lot of what I say may not be 100% accurate, but it's just my perception of, you know, the events that have, you know, taken place and my response to the article. So I guess like just to kind of pivot to what you were mentioning, Max, about like their claim that, you know, a large percentage of their market doesn't actually even know that they exist yet, let alone will be following any sort of like internet drama around the community engagement and things like that. I don't think that that is a fair criticism, or I don't think that's fair to sort of like, I think that's sort of like, that's,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like avoiding the open criticism that the consoles currently has. And a lot of the folks who are interested in it, like the retro gaming YouTubers who are like super passionate about not marketing it, but like just talking about the news around it and the games and things like that. A lot of them I'm a big fan of, and I don't think that it's fair to say that their efforts to, you know, get the word out and promote the console from their own excitement are any less valid than the quote unquote target market, whoever that may be, whether it be like, you know, young families or, you know, older folks, just like, you know, non gamers, things like that.
I agree with you. I don't want to dismiss anybody, but I get you, Raya. I think the biggest target market hasn't been there yet, but everyone's important. Everyone's important for it to be a success, and you can't dismiss anything, right?
Yeah, and then just to kind of like pivot back to the Reddit response to the article and all the, you know, criticism around that article, around the Kotaku article. Like for me, I pretty much like, you know, I'm pretty much on the same like wavelength as the Olde Nerdcast crew. Like I'm just like, okay, that's great. Like where's the console? Where are the games? Can I pre-order more games? Like I'm actually I'm anticipating the opportunity to give this company more money, but they're not giving me that opportunity. I'm like, look, I want to buy more stuff from you, but you're not telling me like anything around like how I can do that or when I can do that. So it's kind of frustrating for me because I'm like, oh, I want y'all to do well, like, because I'm like, I the passion and enthusiasm that a lot of the supporters have, like I've like absorbed, and I've like also bought into that narrative around like, you know, this console's place in the gaming hemisphere, and I'm also a gaming collector, so this aligns to my values already. But being being confronted with a lot of the online discourse of like the company's like quote unquote non-marketing or just like, you know, community engagement, it's frustrating because they're talking about things that are unrelated to the reason why I'm even interested in their company to begin with, which is the hardware and the games. So whenever I bring up, you know, like, oh, I'm interested in the console because it's aesthetically pleasing, I like the controllers, they're going to offer me a great, unique gameplay experience, yada, yada, yada. People are like, oh, well, you know, the company said this, or like, you know, they did this, and you're like, oh, we haven't even seen like, you know, gameplay. And I'm like, that's fair. Yeah, I can see to that. Like, because there's really like I'm sold on the narrative, like me personally, of like why this console has the right to exist. But a lot of folks on the critical side or the detractor side, they have a lot of valid points too, as far as like why we should actually err on the side of caution, because we don't actually have any tangible idea of like how the system works or how the games play. I know Max and Saggy and other folks in the audience have gotten an experience to play it before, but a lot of us haven't. So we are going to need a little bit more like context around like what exactly is the experience that they're selling to us. And I didn't get any of that from the article. I just, like it was a lot of arguments that I felt like were rationales for like past social media etiquette faux pas that I would have probably been better just, having some sort of like ending statement saying from now on all marketing and community engagement is coming from Intellivision, which we were actually led to believe from a previous interview with a representative of the company, that any like future interactions with the community would come from Intellivision and not individual Intellivision employees, which is not the case that we've seen up till now. And that was something that was disappointing to me, to like have that expectation broken. So when it comes to like having past mistakes acknowledged and rationales given for them, quote unquote excuses, I'm like, okay, you've already shown me, like even as like a new person who's only like maybe a couple months tenured into like their fandom of this console, that that you're you're great on selling me a narrative around like, oh, I'll never do this again, or like, oh, like we have like great stuff in the pipeline, things like that, but it's all just, sort of hollow. And it's not making me question whether or not I still want the product, but it's making it exhausting when I'm like trying to, hold on to as much enthusiasm as I can while still being open to hearing what, critics' concerns are and things like that. Because I like every day, like a critic's, perspective is like weighing heavier and heavier on me, because as much as I want to acknowledge that they're right, and I still want to, like maintain hope for the future of the company and the console, it becomes like a very, like I said, exhausting sort of like mental battle to like maintain that enthusiasm while also being rationally open to other folks' criticism on it.
And I think that's kind of the problem, is like, absent an actual console on the market, the product that they have is, Tommy Tallarico. Like, all of his forum posts or internet posts or whatever, that's ostensibly the Intellivision product right now. And the more that he gets entangled in these weird little dust ups, the more that becomes a part of the brand. And nobody wants that to be the brand. People want the game, they want the console, they want the games, and it's all about that. So until they get to a point where they could actually start putting that on the shelf and like pointing to that, it's kind of, I'm wearing the Buffalo Bills hat, right? So I'm an NFL fan, I'm a football fan. There's a saying in football. There is a saying in football. Winning cures all. Like, if you're on a losing team, you're going to come up with all sorts of excuses. Oh, we have a crappy punter, or our running back sucks, and this and this. Oh, we called the wrong play. Why didn't we hand the ball off? We should have thrown. The second you start winning, all of that shit goes away. Like, all of a sudden, everything's golden.
Right.
And the same
that's
concept
help
here.
The most. Right.
Like, the only thing that's going to really help this situation is like getting people to play the console. Honestly, like, a lot of the discourse between the Amico fans and the Amico detractors really reminded me of like the old. It was kind of like the old console wars of like the early, like the Super Nintendo Genesis days, where there's just like a lot of animus between both sides, but only there's no product on the other side on this one. It's just you either like the Amico or you hate it. And
for some reason, I'm not even really sure why. I don't know. I don't really. Like.
Well, and that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, I would understand it more if there was like, there's the Intellivision Amico, and then there's like the Coleco
Vision.
Yeah, the Coleco fratricide.
The fratricide.
Fratricide, because Amico is Italian for brother. So fratricide.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But like, so if there were those two warring factions, then I would completely understand it more. But absent that, it's kind of weird that there are detractors when there's nothing.
Well, he did do some old like console war stuff, Tommy, with the Nintendo comments and Nintendo.
Oh, did he?
Nintendo fans are very passionate. That's all.
Yes, they are. As an old school Sega fan, yes, Nintendo fans.
So I mean, he brought a little bit on himself. I must admit.
Fair enough.
Well, it kind of seems like he's brought maybe 40% of this on himself.
I like his passion. I like that he's not the typical CEO. Like I have no. I like all this stuff. I think it's funny, but I understand why it can offend some people. Zeno says I don't see the mobile market as valid market for Amico. He feels that it's in between. There's a market there because listen, the newer generations are, and the reason that a lot of the games have the style and graphics that are very similar to mobile phone doesn't mean they're that shallow or hollow, because a lot of mobile phone games are very simple.
Well, I got the sense watching that video that the target demo is kind of the same as like the Nintendo Wii from way back.
But he feels there's a market that's in between the cell phone and Nintendo Wii that's not being as targeted as much as Nintendo had in the past.
Yeah.
So
I don't disagree with that.
No. I mean, do graphics matter anymore at all? I mean,
it
really?
Depends on who you
it's like one thing. It's one thing when you can't do it.
We like chunky pixels, but if you're getting like under 10-year-old, they're used to mobile. That may be more appealing. That's like the biggest change was Finnegan Fox was a pixel art game, and then it switched to more mobile style graphics, but that's going to be appealing to the younger generation.
I have an 8-year-old daughter, and it's like, we play, she loves Breath of the Wild, but we play Horizon Zero Dawn. She doesn't like that game any more or less than Breath of the Wild because it looks so much more real. She doesn't give a crap about that. Yeah, and the thing is that when we were like, graphics were always the like metric to some degree. It's like, have you seen the graphics on this? Oh my God. Have you seen Super Cobra on the Atari 5800? It's unbelievable, or whatever it is. But at this point, we've maxed graphics, dude. I mean, we've done it. You know what I'm saying? That's not so much a thing anymore. It's like, if you really want great graphics, that's out there for you. You can get it. There's lots of avenues for it. But maybe there's other gameplay experiences. Like I joked last on our video, I was like, hey, that ball in the string with a cup is pretty fun if you ever get one. You know what I mean? For a little while. I mean, the thing is
oh, sorry. I have to address a super chat. Thank you, Tony. And I know... Max, keep it real. Tommy said Switch had CP on it. He was using that as a marketing tactic, maybe in not appropriate. Of course, you're going to bring this up, Tony. I think we should move on, but he's addressed this multiple times as to try to say this Nintendo. Who's the Nintendo president that died? Iwata?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nintendo was more strict with things they would have on their platform, and then after he passed, they let more things on. So he was trying, for better for worse, Tommy was using the angle of our system's not going to have these issues. And it rightfully so, it upset some Nintendo passionate fans.
Wait, what does CP mean?
Yeah, what does CP mean?
I don't want to say it on air because it's, fair
enough.
Inappropriate stuff on minors, inappropriate stuff like anime type stuff with in Japan, which is actually accurate.
Tommy's got to mind his P's and Q's, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
It's like he's trying to launch a fucking a console. You know,
I just wanted to quickly call out everyone talks about y'all don't go after other CEOs or other companies that are even more horrible, and I'm like, yeah, because they're not saying dumb shit Nintendo has these types of games on their console. But you don't see the CEO of Pepsi saying Coca-Cola has rat droppings in it. No, that's
if he did though, that might be effective. Someone's gonna believe that.
You know what? I think that he needs to say it honestly. That's a great.
It is true that they have that. They had some visual novels that had some really sus stuff there. That's in it. Well, we know anime has some extremely.
Sus. Oh yeah. If you get on the Nintendo store, because I get on there with my daughter and I look at new games, there's straight up games where it's like, this is on the Nintendo store.
Can we agree that he may have should have done it more tactfully if he's?
Absolutely.
I think it.
I don't think he should have done it at all. Okay. I think he should have been in there trying to figure out how to get his console out ASAP. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. It's like clock cycles. It's like when you're programming a computer and you waste your clock cycles on this.
Why will no one address the fact that inside sources said that the console would have been manufactured last year, but Tom wanted cheaper prices and waited? I cannot fault now. Maybe poor planning, and he what he's saying is he did a video. He's also a content creator that's extremely critical. Some say rightfully so. Some, you judge for yourself. You could link it. He's done some super chats. You can link his channel if you want, Raya, in the chat if you want to check him out. He's done a lot of content on this. I actually think your video could have been accurate, Tony, but I don't fault the guy for wanting to get a better profit margin. When again we come back to this isn't the typical type of console release where you make profits on supplementary stuff. There's no charging cables. The controllers charge right in the console. There's not a lot of profit opportunities on supplemental stuff. It's all in one. It's basically an all-in-one thing. So you're gonna want to have the best profit margins also for GameStop as their partner. GameStop, they want to make it where GameStop is going to want to push it. So you're giving a better profit margin than they get on PS5s and Series X for the Amico because you want them to display it and have people play it in store and push it more because the profit margins are so great. And then the pandemic threw a big kink in that. He could have pulled his from Tony's content, he said that he could have pulled the trigger right before the pandemic hit, but he waited to get a better price. And then when the pandemic hit, the prices went through the roof. So
hey, man,
if we were all in that situation, we might have done the same thing. We might have done the same thing and like, oh man.
I did do the same thing. I don't know how many people here are avid followers of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's kind of like the blip, like,
yes,
like 5 years ago when Thanos snapped his fingers and half the population disappeared. Then 5 years later, half the population just comes back and like it throws everything into chaos. That's kind of like what happened. Like, at the start of the pandemic, it was like a snap, and all of a sudden the supply chains all around the world are just like grinding to a halt, and like people are losing their jobs left and right.
Like a blip.
And then all of a sudden, like we're starting to come out of it, and like you start to see things open back up again. People are out and about. People are acting like things are back to normal, relatively speaking. But like the supply chains haven't caught up with that. You've got all sorts of problems with our ports. You've got all sorts of shortages with the minerals that we need to create computer chips and processors and all that shit. And it's just like a mountain of shit that just kind of came out of nowhere on both sides. And I made the same mistake. Like I had it in my mind to build my own PC, and I bought a few of the components before the pandemic, but I was holding off on like the bigger ticket purchases, namely the graphics card, because I was like, it's pretty expensive. I'm gonna wait. And then the pandemic hit, and I was one of the unfortunate people that lost my job due to COVID. And after that, I did get another one pretty quickly after, but because I had to go through that experience, I was like, all right, I'm not spending money on shit, because who knows what's going to happen, in the next
we
couple
could be
months.
Fighting with human femurs before this is over.
I could be fucking a Badlands drifter with a machete, hunting for my dinner. Who knows? But like at the end of this, at the end of all of that stuff, like when I started to do the Twitch stream again, I was like, you know what? I sat on this for too long. I'm actually going to go through and finish building my PC. And lo and behold, all the pieces that I needed were super fucking expensive. Like, and I was
trying to build one.
I finished, actually. That's what I'm streaming on right now.
Good.
It took the will of God to get me to use my credit card for that purchase, because it was so expensive. It was so ungodly expensive.
And too, you're gonna buy it, and then like in 6 months, it's gonna be like, hey, we're giving video cards away for free. That's like, it's a video card giveaway. We got video cards everywhere.
So Ye Olde Nerdcast on YouTube as well as Twitch, twitch.tv/Ye Olde Nerdcast. I try to stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at around 8 p.m. Central. If you can't make the stream, no worries. I do edit and put up clips on the YouTube channel. That's how the Amico fan base found me there. As far as planned content, I'm like you, Max. I don't plan shit. I just fly by the seat of my pants at all times.
That's my channel. Yes.
So who knows? I do want to do some gameplay throughs. There's a demo I played the other day on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's also going to be available on Steam, called Okinawa Rush. It's a really awesome pixel.
I have that pre-ordered.
You have that pre-ordered? Yes. Awesome.
I have I've jumped the shark with my funds buying physical products, and that was one of the ones I put the pre-order in before I stopped spending money. But yes, I have a physical edition coming.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Because the funny thing is, I actually grew up on Okinawa, Japan. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, snap, who the fuck is making a game about Okinawa? So I just decided to play it to see what it was like. And it turns out it's awesome. It's super fun. And I had a blast playing it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to do a playthrough when it's released. So I know that much is coming. But as far as after that, Justin and I, we're about to talk about Star Wars Visions.
Awesome.
He's a huge Star Wars person. So
so am I. The majority of my content here is about movies and TV shows and streaming. So
awesome, thank you.
Yes.
And anybody watching this, please sub and like and share and all that. I'm a fucking terrible self-promoter, the worst in the world.
We both are.
So like we never like.
I also did want to shout out Tony from the Geek Getaway, who was in the chat, like he actually shared a video, your Amico video to me,
okay.
and that's how I reached out and got in touch. So
Cool.
I definitely appreciate you making time to come and chat with us today. It means a
No
lot,
problem.
and
Yeah,
hopefully
thanks
we
for
can like
inviting us.
collab on like other non-Amico related content in the future, like movie discussion, stuff like that. Anything else that we should know about from the Olde Nerdcast or Max on before we wrap up the show?
No, just follow us on YouTube and or Twitch, whichever you prefer to get your content from. The Olde Nerdcast. Give us likes and all that shit. Share the links, and hopefully you enjoyed our contribution. I enjoyed talking to you guys. This was a blast. It was very insightful too. So, I mean, thank you for having us. Thank you for inviting us, reaching out. That was cool.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hopefully we can collab again in the future.
Sure, I'm up for it. And I'm still a fan of Tommy in Intellivision. No matter what Raya says. I like both. I want them both to succeed. I'm buying it for the console and because I like Tommy and I like his personality. I'm cool with it, but whatever. I understand, though. I understand. But I appreciate how Raya just lays it out. She gives her honest opinion. I really appreciate that, though. So.
And Raya, you did an awesome job running this whole thing. So
because we can go so long.
2 hours is nothing for us.
We've actually talked for like over an hour and been like, oh crap, the microphones weren't on.
Okay.
We're not even recording. We're just sitting here.
Maybe subscribe for potential content, maybe. But yeah.
Maybe.
Bye.
Thanks, Raya. Everyone get props to Raya.
Yay! Thank you, Raya.
Bye, everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe. You'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate. And if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So please and thank you.